Once upon a time, in the lush and vibrant kingdom of Yuyo, there lived a princess named AFIONG. AFIONG was the daughter of King Akong and Queen Idara, the wise and kind rulers of the land. The kingdom of Yuyo was known for its tall palm trees, beautiful rivers, and colorful markets where people laughed and traded goods every day. AFIONG was the most beautiful girl in all the land. She had big, bright eyes, a smile that could light up a room, and her hair was as black as the night sky. People from far and wide came to see her, and everyone admired her beauty. But AFIONG had one problem: she was very proud. One sunny morning, as the birds chirped and the flowers bloomed, AFIONG was in her grand room, admiring herself in the mirror. Her maid, Ikoet, came in to brush her hair. "You look lovely today, princess," Ikoet said with a warm smile. "Of course I do," AFIONG replied, flicking her hair. "I am the most beautiful princess in all of Africa." Ikoet sighed but said nothing. She loved the princess and wished she could be kinder. That afternoon, AFIONG went to the market with her parents. As they walked through the bustling market, AFIONG saw many people selling fruits, clothes, and jewelry. She saw a girl her age selling beautiful handmade beads. "Those beads are pretty," AFIONG said, pointing to them. "Thank you, princess," the girl said with a bow. "I made them myself." AFIONG looked at the girl's simple dress and dusty feet. "It must be hard for you, making beads and selling them here," AFIONG said, her nose in the air. The girl smiled. "It is hard, but I am happy. My family and I work together, and we take pride in what we do." AFIONG didn't understand. She thought only being a princess was something to be proud of. As they continued walking, they met an old woman with wrinkled skin and bright eyes. She was selling pots and pans. "Good afternoon, princess," the old woman greeted. "Good afternoon," AFIONG replied, not looking at her. King Akong noticed this and frowned. "AFIONG, greet her properly," he said gently. AFIONG sighed. "Good afternoon, ma'am," she said quickly. The old woman chuckled. "You are beautiful, princess, but beauty is not everything. A kind heart is worth more than all the riches in the world." AFIONG rolled her eyes. "Why does everyone keep saying that?" she thought. As the sun began to set, AFIONG's family returned to the palace. That night, AFIONG couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about what the girl and the old woman had said. Why did they care so much about being kind and working hard? The next morning, something strange happened. AFIONG woke up to find that her beautiful hair had turned into a tangled mess. No matter how much Ikoet brushed it, it wouldn't smooth out. AFIONG was horrified. "Mother! Father!" she cried, running to the royal hall. "Look at my hair." Queen Idara looked worried. "This is strange indeed," she said. "We must seek help from the wise old man, Nte. Nte lived at the edge of the kingdom, in a small hut surrounded by herbs and plants. He was known for his wisdom and magical powers." When AFIONG and her parents arrived, Nte was sitting outside, sipping tea. "Welcome, King Akong, Queen Idara, and Princess AFIONG," Nte greeted them with a smile. "What brings you here?" AFIONG quickly explained what had happened. Nte listened carefully and then nodded. "I see," he said slowly. "Princess AFIONG, this is a lesson for you. True beauty comes from within. You must learn to be humble and kind." AFIONG was puzzled. "But how can I fix my hair?" she asked. Nte smiled kindly. "You must go on a journey to find the true meaning of beauty. Only then will you understand and your hair will be restored." AFIONG was scared but determined. She nodded and agreed to go on the journey. With a small bag packed with essentials, she set off the next morning, not knowing what adventures and lessons awaited her in the vast kingdom of Yuyo. And so, AFIONG the Proud Princess began her journey to discover the true meaning of beauty. As AFIONG walked through the kingdom, she saw many things she had never noticed before. She saw farmers working hard in their fields, children playing happily by the river, and families laughing together over meals. Everywhere she went, people were busy and content. After a few days, she reached a small village called Ikot. The people there were very friendly and welcomed her with smiles. AFIONG felt a little better being around such cheerful faces. She decided to stay for a while and help the villagers with their daily tasks. One day, while fetching water from the river with a girl named Ino, AFIONG asked, "Ino, why are you always so happy?" Ino laughed. "We have everything we need, princess. We have food, a safe place to live, and we have each other. That is enough to make us happy." AFIONG was surprised. "But don't you wish for more? Like beautiful clothes or jewels?" Ino shook her head. "Those things are nice, but they don't make a person truly happy. Love and kindness do." AFIONG thought about this as they walked back to the village. The villagers treated her like one of their own, and she started to enjoy helping them with their chores. She helped cook, clean, and even learned how to make the beautiful beads that the girl in the market had made. One evening, the village elder, a wise woman named AFIONG, invited AFIONG to sit by the fire and listen to her stories. AFIONG's stories were full of wisdom and taught important lessons about life and happiness. "Once, there was a prince," AFIONG began, "who was very proud, just like you, Princess AFIONG. He thought his looks and wealth were the most important things in the world. But one day, he lost everything and had to live like a common man. It was then he learned the value of hard work and kindness." AFIONG listened carefully, her eyes wide with interest. "What happened to the prince, Elder AFIONG?" she asked. "The prince discovered that true happiness comes from within," AFIONG replied. "He became a wise and kind ruler, loved by all his people." AFIONG pondered these words. She was beginning to understand what NTE had meant. The people of Ikot were happy not because they had many riches, but because they had each other and were kind to one another. One morning, as AFIONG was helping a little boy named Enifiak mend his fishing net, she looked at her reflection in the water. Her hair was still tangled, but she didn't mind as much anymore. She felt a warmth in her heart that she had never felt before. She realized she was starting to change, to become kinder and more thoughtful. As days turned into weeks, AFIONG's time in Ikot taught her many valuable lessons. She learned to appreciate the simple things in life and to value kindness over pride. She made many friends and felt a sense of belonging she had never felt in the palace. One day, while helping the villagers prepare for a big feast, a messenger from the palace arrived. He brought news from her parents. King Akong and Queen Idara were worried and missed her very much. They asked her to return home. AFIONG felt a mix of emotions. She missed her family too, but she had grown fond of the villagers and their way of life. She decided it was time to go back, but she promised to visit Ikot often. Before she left, the villagers gathered to bid her farewell. Elder AFIONG gave her a small, beautifully carved wooden box. "This is a gift for you, Princess AFIONG," she said. "Inside is something that will remind you of the lessons you have learned here." AFIONG thanked them all with tears in her eyes and set off for the palace, the wooden box clutched tightly in her hands. As she walked back through the kingdom, she felt different. She felt wiser, kinder, and more at peace. When she finally reached the palace, her parents were overjoyed to see her. They hugged her tightly, and King Akong noticed the wooden box. "What is that, my dear?" he asked. AFIONG smiled and opened the box. Inside was a small mirror and a beautiful necklace made of the beads she had helped make in Ikot. She looked into the mirror and saw that her hair had magically untangled and was more beautiful than ever. She understood now. True beauty and happiness came from being kind and humble. AFIONG hugged her parents and told them all about her journey and the wonderful people she had met. From that day on, Princess AFIONG was no longer known as the Proud Princess. She became known as AFIONG the Kind, and she ruled the kingdom of Uyo with a loving heart and a gentle hand. And whenever she felt herself slipping back into her old ways, she would look at the mirror and the necklace from Ikot and remember the lessons she had learned. One day, not long after AFIONG had returned to the palace, the kingdom of Uyo received an unexpected visitor. A young prince named Kofi from the neighboring kingdom of Asante arrived, seeking counsel from King Akong. His kingdom was facing a terrible drought, and their crops were dying. Kofi had heard of the wisdom and kindness of King Akong and hoped he could help. AFIONG, now more humble and compassionate, felt a strong desire to help Prince Kofi and his people. She approached her father and said, "Father, may I accompany Prince Kofi back to his kingdom? I want to help them in any way I can." King Akong looked at AFIONG with pride. "Yes, my dear. Your heart is now full of the true beauty that comes from kindness. Go with Prince Kofi and see what you can do to help." AFIONG and Prince Kofi set off the next morning, traveling through forests and over hills until they reached the kingdom of Asante. It was a beautiful land, but the effects of the drought were clear. The fields were dry, and the rivers had turned into small streams. The people of Asante were hopeful upon seeing Princess AFIONG. They had heard of her transformation and believed she could bring them good fortune. AFIONG and Kofi visited the village elder, a wise man named Kwame. He welcomed them warmly and listened to their concerns. "We need water to save our crops and animals," Prince Kofi explained. "Without it, our people will suffer greatly." Elder Kwame thought for a moment and then said, "There is an ancient well deep in the forest, known as the Well of Kindness. It is said that only those with pure hearts can draw water from it. If you are truly kind and humble, the well will provide endless water." AFIONG and Kofi decided to find the Well of Kindness. They set off with a group of villagers, journeying through the dense forest. Along the way, they faced many challenges. They had to cross a raging river, climb steep cliffs, and navigate through a dark cave. At each challenge, AFIONG used her newfound wisdom and kindness to help. She encouraged the villagers, shared her food, and found solutions to their problems. Prince Kofi was amazed by her bravery and generosity. After several days, they finally reached the Well of Kindness. It was hidden in a beautiful glade, surrounded by tall trees and blooming flowers. AFIONG approached the well and looked into the clear water. With a heart full of hope and humility, AFIONG knelt by the well and began to draw water. To everyone's amazement, the water flowed freely and abundantly. They filled all their containers and carried the water back to the village. The people of Asante were overjoyed. They used the water to revive their crops and animals, and soon the land began to flourish again. Prince Kofi and Elder Kwame thanked AFIONG for her kindness and bravery. "Your heart is truly pure, Princess AFIONG," Elder Kwame said. "You have saved our kingdom with your kindness." AFIONG smiled and replied, "I have learned that true beauty and strength come from helping others. I am glad I could help." Before she left, Prince Kofi gave AFIONG a special gift, a golden bracelet engraved with the symbol of the Well of Kindness. "This is to remind you of your journey and the difference you made," he said. AFIONG returned to Uyo with a heart full of joy and new friends in the kingdom of Asante. She continued to rule with kindness and wisdom, always remembering the lessons she had learned, and so, the story of AFIONG the Kind spread far and wide, inspiring others to value kindness and humility over pride and riches. The kingdom of Uyo flourished under her gentle rule, and AFIONG became a beloved queen, known for her compassionate heart and unwavering dedication to her people. But AFIONG's adventures were far from over, as new challenges and opportunities to spread kindness awaited her in the vast and wondrous land of Africa. Years passed, and AFIONG's reputation as a wise and kind ruler grew. One day, as she sat in the palace garden, a messenger arrived with an urgent letter. It was from the kingdom of Abesai, a distant land known for its mystical creatures and ancient traditions. The letter spoke of a great peril, a monstrous creature called the Nda, which had been terrorizing their villages and threatening their people. King Akong and Queen Idara gathered their advisors to discuss the situation. AFIONG, now more experienced and compassionate than ever, felt a strong calling to help the people of Abesai. "Father, Mother," she said, "I believe it is my duty to assist the kingdom of Abesai. The NDA is a threat to their peace and safety. I will travel there and see if I can help." King Akong and Queen Idara looked at their daughter with pride and concern. "You have always shown great courage and wisdom, AFIONG," her father said. "Go with our blessings, and may the spirits protect you on your journey." AFIONG gathered a small group of trusted friends and advisors, including Ikoet, who had been by her side through thick and thin. They set off on a long and arduous journey to Abesai, passing through dense forests, crossing wide rivers, and climbing steep mountains. Upon reaching Abesai, they were greeted by King Ao and Queen Sod, who welcomed them warmly despite the troubled times. "We are grateful for your presence, Princess AFIONG," King Ao said. "The NDA has brought fear and despair to our people. We need your help to defeat it." AFIONG listened carefully to the stories of the villagers who had encountered the NDA. It was a fearsome creature with scales as hard as iron and eyes that glowed in the dark. Many had tried to fight it, but none had succeeded. Determined to help, AFIONG and her companions set out to find the NDA's lair. They followed the clues and the trail left by the creature, traveling deeper into the dark and mysterious forest. Along the way, they encountered various magical creatures, some friendly and some hostile. One night, as they camped by a clear, moonlit lake, a beautiful and graceful deer with glowing antlers approached them. "I am Ikanem, the spirit of the forest," the deer said. "I know of the NDA and the destruction it brings. To defeat it, you must use not just strength, but also wisdom and kindness." AFIONG nodded, understanding that brute force alone would not be enough. Ikanem gave her a special amulet, saying, "This amulet holds the power of the forest's kindness. It will help you in your quest." The next day, AFIONG and her companions reached the NDA's lair, a dark cave hidden deep within the forest. As they entered, the air grew cold and the light dim. The NDA emerged from the shadows, its eyes glowing fiercely. With the amulet in hand, AFIONG stepped forward. She spoke to the NDA with a calm and gentle voice. "NDA, we do not wish to harm you. We understand that you are in pain and fear. Let us help you find peace." The NDA paused, its fierce eyes softening as it listened. AFIONG's kindness and the power of the amulet began to soothe the creature's anger. Slowly, the NDA transformed, its scales turning into soft fur and its glowing eyes becoming gentle and calm. The villagers of Abesai were astonished when AFIONG led the transformed NDA back to the village. The creature, once a source of fear, had become a symbol of hope and healing. King Ao and Queen Sod thanked AFIONG for her bravery and wisdom. "You have shown us that true strength comes from kindness and understanding," King Ao said. "We are forever in your debt." AFIONG returned to Yuyo with her companions, feeling fulfilled and at peace. She had once again proven that kindness could overcome the greatest of challenges. Her legend continued to grow, inspiring generations to value compassion and humility. AFIONG the kind ruled her kingdom with a gentle heart, always ready to help those in need. Her adventures became stories told around campfires and in royal courts, reminding everyone that true beauty and strength come from within. And so, AFIONG lived a long and fulfilling life, her kingdom flourishing under her wise and kind rule. Her legacy of kindness and courage lived on, shaping the hearts and minds of those who heard her story for generations to come.